Good evening, good afternoon, good morning, whenever you're watching this. My name is Semhar Araia. I want to welcome you to the Diaspora Academy's live stream. We've been doing a series of live streams this summer. Today is September 18th, so in the summer we started engaging with you after our Eritrean Diaspora Innovators Summit, and we are now preparing for our flagship course offering of the year. It is our Diaspora Leadership Program. So welcome, welcome, join in. Great to see you. I'm going to make sure that that all of our streams are activated, and we're great. We've got 1, and we've got 2, excellent, and we've got 3. Happy about that. So for today, as you know, I spend about 30 minutes with you to say hello on all things, to check in, and to gauge what's top of mind for you. But I also am here to tell you about our Diaspora Leadership Program. Today we're going to be discussing the sort of nuts and bolts of the program. If you haven't joined me in previous live stream sessions, first I really walked you through what the Diaspora Leadership Program is and Diaspora initiative, vision, or goal is. And in just 3 Tuesdays, we'll walk you through a starting point of understanding the baseline of what a diaspora experience is all about, how you activate around your idea and define your vision, and then how you set it up for success. Okay? So today we're going to go through those modules, an overview of those modules. We're not going through those modules today. That's October 14 and 21 and 28. But I want to thank all of you who are coming in and invite you to share where you're watching. What are your questions? What diaspora do you identify as? To my Instagram family, I'm always doing this. I'm always putting a post for you. Hello, everyone. And for Facebook, you're also very engaged, which we love to have you. So welcome and drop a note, okay? LinkedIn and YouTube, I see you as well. I know a lot of you watch successively. A lot of you watch this recording and come with questions, so I look forward to hearing from you. Today's conversation around the Diaspora Leadership Program is going to be a deep dive into the structure and what you should expect. I should tell you my background. In addition to being a trained lawyer and a public policy advocate, I have also taught at universities, both at George Washington University and the University of Minnesota. So I have also been in curriculum development and engaging in an educational setting and helping you have some learning objectives and desired outcomes for your growth. For the Diaspora Leadership Program, this is really a program aimed at adult practitioners of all backgrounds, and by practitioner I mean in any field that you're in. It is intended for you to come from your whatever vantage point you bring, both personally and professionally, and examine what opportunities or ideas you're having with diaspora communities. It could also be what questions you're having about diaspora communities. We've had participants enroll in this program with their own lived experience as a member of a diaspora and not knowing how to branch out. We've had diaspora members deeply engaged in community organizing or starting a business and wanting to expand. We've also had members of a diaspora want to reach out to another one. And of course, we've had people who really don't identify as being a part of a diaspora community, but they do want to design and develop a program, an initiative, or a set of priorities, a strategy around diaspora engagement, either for their employer or their community-based initiative. This is really important to note because the Diaspora Leadership Program offers you an experience that is peer-to-peer learning across different diasporas and different communities. And it's an experience, it's an opportunity to hear where other people are coming from on the question of the diasporas. Now, doesn't mean that the course is all a free-for-all discourse around everyone's experience. That's my job to moderate for you and help bring you closer. But the starting point is that you're all coming with a shared interest, need, curiosity, or desire to build out a diaspora strategy. The second thing is this course is online, so it's also an opportunity for you to join in from whatever part of the world you're watching. We've had participants from Europe, from Africa, from far Asia, East Asia, Indonesia. I remember we had a participant that was the hours were completely flipped and they still were committed to join live. But even for those of you that are across time zones, you're welcome to be a part of the program, and it is recorded. But we do also offer office hours. So as you watch a recording, I have a dedicated office hour window that is aimed to reach as many time zones as possible. If you are in a time zone and it still doesn't fit, I of course will make time to meet with you to follow up. So that's sort of the logistics and the setup of the course. By it being online, it's recorded and you would be able to watch by logging in to your course portal anytime. Now the goal here is to really meet your needs, but we have, through our experience, a pretty familiar set of questions, pain points, and ideas that have come to us over the years from diaspora changemakers and allies. So we've set up a curriculum that touches on a lot of the main issues that many diaspora changemakers and allies experience or need. The course can be modified. Even in my time with you as a cohort, I take the material that we have and I personalize it for you. And so it can really become a relatable and accessible learning journey in that way as well. But secondly, the course itself, it's 2 hours. And those 2 hours, we have 2 modules. And so we roughly spend about, I would say, 60 minutes on the first module. We try to do less than 60. I try to keep each module about 45 to 50 minutes so that you can take a break and then we reconvene and we jump into the next module. The Q&As, it's interactive, so you just chime in whenever you want. You can raise your hand, you can drop a note in the chat, and I modify it for you. If you're watching it as a recording, you can submit questions in the comments or you can email me directly. But it's meant to go at your own pace. And when it's live, it's an opportunity for me to also receive feedback on what parts of the curriculum land with you well or don't land with you well. Now, in terms of the curriculum itself, and we'll get into the topics, but I want to give you the sort of learning experience first. In terms of the curriculum itself, I have written the entire curriculum on my own, based on my 25 years of experience in the diaspora engagement space, and of course informed by lived experiences that are relatable. But really, I've had enough experience working as a technical advisor, as a community organizer, as a representative of an organization building out diaspora engagement frameworks, and advising organizations and advising and supporting communities, which is the most important part, on how they can build a very strong diaspora initiative. So I've taken all these years of knowledge and experience and learning and put it into a curriculum in a format that I think will follow you on your journey. So we want to start with the most foundational elements of what diaspora leadership is about and what it requires. And for that to happen, we have to all start from the same starting point of understanding the diaspora experience. So within 3 weeks, you will begin with sort of a walkthrough of what does it mean to be in the diaspora. And I'm not talking about, there's an emotional answer to that, but I'm talking about the practical experience of being a diaspora that does include your mental and emotional state and your sort of physicality of being a diaspora that's far away from home, but the way that you use your time, talent, and treasure for good. So we start all on that block, and then we go into successive themes, okay? So for us, the goal is really to ensure that we're all operating on the same playing field, but that we're also informing each other of how universal this all is. So let me get into the curriculum, and I'm going to check briefly because I mistakenly overlooked LinkedIn, but I opened LinkedIn now, so I can track all three of you together. So let me get into the curriculum, and I'm excited to do this because I have learned through, this is our 4th session now of the Diaspora Leadership Program, and what's been most informative for me as a founder and as a course instructor is which parts of this program have been the most helpful and transformative. Parts that I thought were not as helpful have actually been the most helpful. So I'm going to first walk you through the 3 stages of the curriculum, and then we'll go into the modules, okay? If you have questions, if you have ideas, if you have reactions, drop them in. I'm going to try and follow them, but also you can review this on our website at thediasporaacademy.com/DLP. So go to my company's website, DLP. The curriculum, the modules are there for you, and the curriculum is there for you. So to get started, when we meet on October 14, on Tuesday, it is meant to be a walkthrough immediately into Diaspora 101 foundational learnings, and then tapping into what it means for you to be a diaspora leader. So you're going to already come in with an accelerated exposure to some foundational elements and definitions of diaspora engagement, diaspora leadership, diaspora journeys, and diaspora vision. Then we're going to walk into the second week ready to get activated. Okay, so the first week this is basically the theme is setting the foundation for diaspora leadership. And in module 1, we're going to kick things off by discussing understanding the diaspora experience and you. And this could mean anything depending on where you're at in the journey. But we're going to essentially understand what diaspora means technically and how it unfolds, what it looks like, all the different sort of frameworks and ecosystems that exist when you're a part of a diaspora, and the ways that communities and countries have relationships that are maintained or that are reconnected. Okay, so you're going to kind of see yourself, even if you don't identify as a member of a diaspora, when you hear this sort of framework, you'll understand how you can move in that space of a diaspora ecosystem, and you'll understand what an opportunity looks like, what a challenge looks like. You'll understand the mindset of many stakeholders that you're engaging with, things to consider. It's familiarizing yourself with the diaspora environment. And for those of you that do identify as a member of a diaspora, you'll be able to see that, that someone's actually naming the things that I navigate all the time. The cultural pressure, the community expectations, the very real life of living across cultures and across continents, of having people depend on you or having your own dreams, trying to figure out what to pursue. You will start to see the language and the crystallization of your lived experience in a way that can help you activate. Okay? Now, when we're talking about understanding the diaspora and you, part of that is also understanding a diaspora journey and the way that a diaspora journey shapes how you show up, and it shapes how you partner. It also, for those of you that are allies, understanding the diaspora journey helps you identify best partners for this and understand what is attractive to a diaspora stakeholder and what might not be attractive. So you're walking through understanding foundation of diasporas and then understanding the diaspora journey. What Module 1 does for you on the first day is it helps you locate yourself relative to a diaspora community. And Module 1 gives you the landscape that you're about to navigate in a way that helps you contextualize what you're seeking to do, how universal it is, or how unique it is. Okay? So you're going to be more informed at a regional level. You're going to be more informed at a local level. And depending on the cohort's composition, I also like to dive into the homelands that they're in. So if there are members of the cohort who are in Europe and there are members in the US, we do a bit of a comparison and contrast, let's say, of African diasporas in Europe versus African diasporas in the US. And if you are someone who's trying to map this landscape and this ecosystem for your own purposes, you're going to need that kind of window and be able to see the distinctions between different groups and what opportunities look like with different groups. Okay? Now, by the end of Module 1, you will understand where the diaspora community or opportunity resides for you, but you're also going to understand how the journey has shaped you or the community you want to work with. And why is that important? Because once you start to look at the impact of a diaspora journey on how you've experienced it, whether you're an immigrant, a child of immigrants, or a multi-generational descendant, the diaspora journey shapes you. And once you can understand how it shaped you, you then start to unpack your motivations, what your diaspora vision is, and how your idea ties to your own story. And part of that, that's also very important, is understanding what your lived experience is doing to inform your idea and your goals. It's important to have this space to be honest. It's important to have this space to unpack. And this is really part of the due diligence that we believe you need to do if you are aspiring to be a diaspora change maker or an ally of diasporas, okay? All of this allows you to lay everything out to determine your best course of action and where risks lie and where the greatest opportunities lie, okay? I'm going to check here before I continue to Module 2 for any questions. Facebook, we're having a bit of a challenge seeing your questions, so bear with me as I come back to you. And then by the end of our first Tuesday together, we take a break at the midpoint, and people usually come back from the break going, okay, I can totally see now where I sit, or where the community is that I'm trying to work with. We then move into module 2, which is about defining your diaspora vision. And this is your first call to action within the program. This is the first sort of opportunity you get to define, start to identify your motivations and what kind of vision you have. And so you'll get some prompts and questions. You will have the materials are provided for you. The course does have a workbook and worksheets, as well as a deck that you get to refer back to, and a recording. So you will be prompted to think of some questions, and we actually take a break. We do a brief break in the discussion for you to sit with your questions and answer them. And so these little pauses in our time together allows you to step back and, ideate on like what it means to have a diaspora vision. And these questions are pretty personal. I mean, they're not invasive. They're not like, they're appropriately personal. They get to the heart of what your motivation is about and what kind of change you want to make. So this is an example of how you would do this sort of envisioning and planning and preparation when you're out of the program. And these questions, oftentimes we find that participants take a look at the questions and they start to answer them. And of course, 5 minutes, 10 minutes, never enough time in a course. I'd love to give you 20, 30. I'd love to give you more. But what I find is that taking the pause to address these questions involves some subconscious level of thinking that you then have to go back to and revisit when the course is over. So I have found a lot of people coming back to me 2-3 weeks, a month after the course, even longer, saying, I am so thankful for those questions, because it's serving as a benchmark for me to be clear on before I proceed. Now, granted, you're a work in progress. We're all a work in progress. And some of these questions are a constant work in progress. But it does give you the anchor and the footing that you need to understand what your vision and your motivation is, what your why is. Okay? We talk about all of that. So when we're in the module 2 and we're discussing defining your diaspora vision, you will learn the elements of what makes a diaspora change maker a leader and what a vision actually is. Like, we have our own definitions at TDA. We were going to share with you the definition of diaspora, but you will learn our very specific definition of diaspora leadership and our very specific definition of diaspora vision. And both of them are meant to give you tools to act. So in the definition, you can prompt yourself of what you're supposed to be doing here. So we take this principle of diaspora vision, we take it apart into its core pillars, and we walk you through each pillar of what it means to have a vision for purposes of diaspora leadership and diaspora change making. Okay? When you walk away by module 1 and 2 on Tuesday, you will have been upside down, rewritten. Everything you thought you knew about diasporas will be challenged and probably turned on its head. And I don't say that as a disruptor. I say that as a supporter. Because what I want you to do is take what you know about your diaspora experience and take what you know about diaspora engagement. And when you apply the frameworks and the references that we give you and the resources, it'll only enrichen your approach to diaspora engagement. It'll have you in a much more thoughtful, considerate, respectful way, respectful to the diasporas and respectful to yourself, because you are being able to unpack what this all means. A lot of times diasporas don't do this, and friends of diasporas don't do this. They jump right into the work, they present the opportunity, they have the initiative, and they think that's all you need. But there's a level of authenticity and radical honesty you need to have up front as a diaspora change maker, and you're not going to find too many spaces that allow you to do that. But here at TDA, we carve this space out in module 1 and 2 for you to sort of feel challenged, almost upended, almost forced to reconsider how you see yourself. And then we send you off your way for the rest of the week. You've got questions, it's not homework, but you've got sort of reflection pieces that can help you walk through what you've known, what narratives you've carried, what expectations you have of yourself and of your community and of the world, and how you want to use your time, talent, and treasure for good. By the end of module 1, the people often say that week is the heaviest because they have to do this reorientation with themselves, but they come into week 2 with a lot more clarity around activation. They want to get into sort of the the, the framing of how they want to be a leader and how they want to mobilize, activate themselves and mobilize their communities. And so when we get into week 2, the theme there is is building your diaspora blueprint. Okay, so we've set up your foundation for diaspora leadership in week 1. Now we're talking about building your diaspora blueprint. And this essentially is what framework works best for you with what you want to do. Okay, something already existing, something you want to create. There is a blueprint that you need to fine tune there, because everything you just learned the previous week is going to force you to recalibrate what you thought you were going to do on diaspora engagement. Okay, this is feedback that we've gotten. We've gotten people that come into the course, clear package in mind, ready to go, and we have to kind of remind them, let's do some fine tuning here, and it has tremendous results on their outputs. It has tremendous results on their expectations and outcomes. We have testimonials. We'll share them with you in the coming weeks. But the first thing you do with any kind of diaspora initiative is making sure you understand 2 things. In week 2, we discuss understanding the diaspora landscape and understanding how you engage with them. All right. So module 3 is mapping the diaspora landscape. I was about to give you a really long one, but let me just say mapping the diaspora landscape. And week 2, module 3 is mapping the diaspora landscape. And diaspora mapping is a methodology. It is applied in many research and policy-based work, but it's also done in the business sector, in the nonprofit, in the community organizing sector. But understanding how to actually capture the diaspora segment that you're trying to reach. And this is where we understand the levels of different types of diasporas. We want you to have as expansive of an understanding, as inclusive of an understanding of the diasporas, so that you can then get very specific with who you're looking to engage with, okay? So mapping it out requires you understanding that ecosystem, the nodes and networks, the hubs, the generational differences, the sort of sub-demographics that exist in most diaspora communities. You want to get sort of the DNA of a diaspora community and be able to apply it to your own target diaspora or maybe whatever future diaspora work you have to do. By the end of module 3, you will understand that there are layers to a diaspora community that you need to begin recognizing and deciding what layers you want to pursue. And you also need to be able to root your strategy in that mapping, right? So factors that you may not think are as important will actually be extremely helpful in narrowing and exacting your strategy and your change goals, okay? I don't know what you're thinking of doing, but whatever it is, I'm pretty sure you're going to need a strategy and a change goal in some way. And you might have that. You might have it informally, you might have it written out. But essentially, you need to be very, very, very specific about who you're seeking to support. And in order to get there, you need to then be able to see the big picture. The second thing is, now that you've seen the big picture, we're going to dive into how you engage with that ecosystem. And engagement requires prioritization. Engagement requires being able to discern these differences within the diaspora community and understand which parts of the diaspora community are most relevant or affected by what you're trying to do and how you reach them. And so we have a few tools and frameworks to offer you that help you remember who you're seeking to support, who you're seeking to serve, and who you're not, okay? Because the first thing we say in Module 1 is that diasporas are not a monolith, and meaning we're not all the same. Even though we're all from the same country ancestrally, or we may have the same lived experience from a homeland, we are not the same because ultimately we're a community made up of individuals. And each individual's journey is shaped by their own diaspora narrative and their own lived experience as a man, woman, as a husband, wife, as a sister, daughter, sister, brother. Whatever it is that shapes one's life, you as a diaspora changemaker need to be willing to see them in that capacity. So you can't paint a broad brush and say, we're going to reach diaspora X and we're going to mobilize them. I don't know that that's necessarily possible, and that's necessarily the best course of action. You want to be really clear about who you're engaging, and that's what we help you with. So I'm going to help you unpack your diaspora audience, unpack your engagement strategies, of what's required to build trust, to build partnerships, to mobilize, to support. It all depends on what you want to do. And again, based on who's in this course, I customize this even further. So because I get to know each of you, I try my best to get to know the cohort. And it can get pretty big sometimes, but generally speaking, I've taught in classrooms. And so if we're talking about a classroom size cohort, I will know each of you personally. I will get familiar with your needs, and we will customize the trainings to fit you as well. Okay? Checking again for comments and questions. Thank you. Good. Now, the last thing about week 2 is this blueprint is applicable for every diaspora community. You could say it's applicable for other communities too, but for the diaspora, there are some hard truths that we're going to have to put ourselves through. And there is a level of decision making that you're going to have to make that might feel uncomfortable. You're going to have to turn away certain parts of your diaspora community. You're going to have to be explicit about what you are trying to do. And that for a lot of diasporas tends to be quite difficult because we want to be all inclusive. Now, maybe for some of you, it's very clear who you want to serve. And then the conversation becomes, how do you reach them? All right. So week 2 gives you the framework of how you get to the audience and to the diasporas that you're trying to get. Now, there is in the past we've walked through sort of the mechanics of how you operationalize that. We have covered what's required to build a nonprofit versus a business. Does your initiative exist best as a nonprofit? Does it exist best as a for-profit? We've walked through that, but that was really when we have entrepreneurs or entrepreneurial-minded people, right? So a founder who wants to start a nonprofit. And we can bring that back into the course curriculum. But there are many of you that take the course because you are a part of an institution and you want to do diaspora engagement. So you're not looking to build a nonprofit or a business. But for those of you that are individuals, that are entrepreneurial, that are looking to how do you get started to build something, we would happily incorporate how you operationalize and set that up. And I would want to hear that from you, of course. Lastly, let's get into the third and final week of this course. Again, these are all only on Tuesdays from 12 to 2 Eastern Standard Time. The last week is focused on how you make your initiative sustainable and how you build it for success. So we like to call this expanding and sustaining your diaspora success, all right? And success is an interesting word because that tends to invoke some assumptions around success financially, success in a recognition way. But we want you to think of success from a diasporic lens of what does success look like and mean to you as the founder, as a creator, as a leader, as a change maker. And so helping you remember that as a diaspora change maker, you have to really be clear on what success means and then how you set up your initiative so that you can revert back to measuring your success and communicating that in an effective way. That's important. Oh, I'm coming right back. There we are. Hello. Previous glitch, apologies. But back to the success point. When we talk about success, it isn't metrics that are hard and fast that others hold. It's success that you have to hold on to. And so we walk you through how you must define that for yourself and reiterate it to your diaspora audiences or community members or whoever. Okay? First things first, managing and navigating diaspora community expectations. Oftentimes, this is the topic that people want to talk about the whole course. I don't know what to do because this community elder and this community rep and this community organization, and it's oftentimes about the dynamics of a community, whether you're a part of that community or you are an ally trying to work with that community. And navigating those dynamics, it's extremely important to respect. It's extremely important to embrace and just understand that this isn't a right or wrong dynamic that you have to go through. This isn't about you needing to be a certain way, but it's about how do you communicate to these different stakeholders within a community what success looks like. And that's what we unpack. And it gets into things like gender, it gets into things like generational status, it gets into things like socioeconomic, it gets into factors, right? It gets into things about culture and power dynamics in a diaspora community, all important to understand. because you need to come forth with the leadership qualities that are humble, that are respectful, that are cognizant of what's important for your respective diaspora community. You know, it looks different for everyone, right? It's not one size fits all. But the reality is that oftentimes diasporas are cast as a monolith, and even members of diasporas run guilty of thinking that it has to be a certain way. So I want you to be able to discern, to unpack that. And then as you think about how you navigate those dynamics, it's about how you communicate them, the storytelling, the narrative that you need to create and uplift and disperse throughout. And I want you to understand that as a change maker, your idea is not enough. Your solution is not enough. What is the most important aspect to how you communicate and gain the impact that you want to make is how you tell your story, right? So a lot of us fall guilty of approaching a problem as a member of a diaspora with a solution that is hard and fast. You know, you've got an innovative solution that is closing a gap or serving a need, and that tends to be enough, right? Because presumably that would resolve the situation. But then you realize that so much of diaspora engagement work is rooted in how you build trust and how you engender trust with each other and how you keep that trust. And really the last week, that's what we cover, because you're going to need to keep going back or maintaining a line of communication with diaspora stakeholders so that they do continue to feel that you are trustworthy and that you are here for the long term, right? So even if your project is a 6-week project, a 3-month project, when you partner with diasporas, it is not a transactional 3-month situation. It is relational. And they're looking to get to know you, and they're looking for you to have an authenticity and a vision and an enthusiasm around what's possible with diasporas, not for them, okay? So as co-partners, diasporas want to see success over the long term, and that's the muscle I want to help you start building. By the end of week 3, you will have now understood the diaspora experience and how your diaspora experience shapes your motivations. You will have defined what your diaspora vision is and what kind of diaspora impact you want to make. And then you're also going to start unpacking the diaspora audiences that you want to reach. They're just thinking about it generally and having the skills and the tools to be able to disaggregate the diaspora in a thoughtful way that presents your vision and your idea in a way that engenders trust and that helps the community at large, right? The last thing you walk away with is an ability to really weigh in on how long-term are you thinking here, or how are you willing to navigate the diaspora community? Because once you engage with the diaspora community, you're either in, and you're in for as long as you want to be, or if you don't do it correctly the first time, it'll be very hard to build trust the second time. And so what is it? You never get a second chance to make a first impression. It's very true in the diaspora space. So your authenticity and your vision and your desire to be a part of their long-term goals is really what you want to get focused on in the last week. And so, that is the diaspora success metric that we talk about. And then, of course, there are other metrics that are very operational. We want you to understand and be reminded that there is a level of accountability and transparency, that whatever initiative you're doing should be rooted in a structure that abides by the standards of accountability and transparency. So reporting, if you file an entity, what that legal obligation looks like. I just want to remind you that what you're doing in the diaspora, even if it's a volunteer-based initiative, it's going to require a level of transparency and reporting to the people you're serving and supporting, and also potentially to the general public. And we'll talk about the role of the general public when we talk about audiences and engaging. Okay, so these are the main pillars of our modules. You can go back to our website and review every module in detail, like the description. If you have any questions about a module or what I've shared here, I want you to please reach out to me. Please share your thoughts. And if you are interested in registration, we have registration open now. So you can actually sign up like as soon as we hang up, thediasporaacademy.com/DLP. Now, the second thing I wanted to cover today, in addition to the modules, is the coaching package that we have that is a part of the DLP. We have found that participants of this program are very invested in understanding what diaspora impact they want to make, and that the course experience is useful and really, really helpful in transforming their thinking. But many of you want to go deeper, and you want to have like a check-in with me, a touch base, a sort of a coaching, a guide, some feedback. And so we've incorporated a 1-hour coaching session with me at the top of the Diaspora Leadership Program, right when we start, and then a 1-hour coaching session at the end to see how you have transformed your thinking or how your views on your work have evolved, and help you root yourself in possible next steps. So the first coaching session, I get to know you pretty well as you want me to know you, and I get to hear about your diaspora vision and idea. And that actually informs the course, because then I have a good sense of what you want to get out of this course, and the teaching and the curriculum and the conversations, I start to customize it to what you need. And then at the end of the program, we check in again for our second coaching session. And you're really going to download sort of your takeaways thus far and answer any questions you have or any new ideas you have as a result of the training. So I want you to know that the VIP coaching session is oftentimes what people find most valuable, because they're getting the course, but then they get to apply it to themselves with me before and after the class. So I want you to think about that. And if you are not sure if you need the coaching, you can think about it, but oftentimes diaspora changemakers don't have many places that they can go to unpack a diaspora idea and walk through it. And I'd be honored to take that journey with you. And it's the beginning of a conversation we can continue to have. Yeah? So now I want to give you a couple of takeaways now, a couple next steps. Like I said, registration is open, and you can apply, you can register today. It's open to everyone. You don't have to be a member of a diaspora, and you can be interested in diaspora issues. It's open to anyone around the world, so it's virtual. It's recorded. It will have accessibility features, so it'll also have captions. We've been asked about that. And it will also be available to you anytime for viewing online. Okay? You will get materials from the course. You'll get a Diaspora Leadership Program workbook. You'll have worksheets. You'll get a video recording of the actual webinar. You'll get a PDF of the deck. And you'll also get an audio transcript so you can listen to it in the car or in your buds, whatever you're doing. And then you'll also be able to drop comments in the module if you have questions. So this is really your learning space with the Diaspora Academy. We have our own private portal. You just go into there. Okay? Registration is open, and the first class is October 14. If you sign up before September 30th, the last day of this month, you will get a free coaching session with me. So if you register for the general status, you will get a free coaching session with me. If you register as a VIP, you get a third coaching session with me. Okay, so I want to offer this as an invitation for you to consider investing in yourself. I will walk with you through it, and we can come up with your plan of action and what your needs are. All right, this is a tough time for everyone. We're all going through a lot globally. In the US, we are going through quite a lot. And I know for diaspora changemakers, it's especially hard to figure out how you navigate this current moment we're in with your vision and your ideas and your goals. I want you to consider this a space for you to double down and do the work, to have some support, some advice, some guidance, and the tools and the strategies that will really help you get activated. All right? I thank you so much for your time. For those of you that are joining me live, thank you so much for sitting with me this whole time. And for those of you that are watching this recording, I appreciate you really making the time to carve your out of your own schedule time with me. And I look forward to hearing from you. So again, the registration link is thediasporaacademy.com/DLP. And I will see you soon. Our next live stream is October 2nd. I want to make sure that I have the date. Is it the 2nd or the 4th? Our next live stream is October 2nd, Thursday. So that'll be 2 weeks, about a week and a half before the course begins. So that'll be our last live stream to really talk about the substantive materials and present any questions. Okay? If I didn't catch your question and I catch it later, I will reply to you, or you can always email us at info@thediasporaacademy.com. All right? Thank you, everyone. I hope you're well. Stay safe, and we'll see you soon.